The West African Examinations Council has explained how it's handling the scripts of COVID-19 infected candidates writing the ongoing senior school certificate examinations. Head of the National Office of WAEC, Patrick Ehediaman Aragan, explained this while on inspection to the Federal Government Boys College in Abuja to see the level of compliance with COVID-19 principles and the response of the students to the examination situation. According to him, anywhere there are COVID-19 positive candidates, the WAEC will ensure they write the examinations. Well, joining us to discuss this and other related issues is the Public Affairs Analyst Tosin Akande. Well, it's very good to have you, Tosin. Good to see you again. Thank you for joining us on the show. Yeah. If we were to jump right into this, are we right to assume that these students who have tested positive are asymptomatic? Because I don't see how else we could expect 6 students to be expected to sit such important exams.
Yes, I agree with you. It's a very important exam because it's a transition from one part of life to another, from one stage of life to another for the students. So, but then, I don't think there has been any contrary advice from medics to support that kind of fear. You know, once you are proven to be asymptomatic, you are passed to go ahead and write the exams, and the fear of others contacting this is further reduced because, according to reports, these students are who are asymptomatic or who are even, who have already contacted the disease are here, are writing their exams in isolated centers. So we have no reason to fear at all. And then basically, I believe that it's not nice to generate storms in teacups, okay? So we believe that some of these students, even if they were not sick, would not make the exams, will not pass the exams this year, and next year may be another chance for them. So that's just my advice. We should calm down.
Well, I wonder, calm down. I wonder why you're saying they will not take. 2 issues you've raised that I want to address immediately.
That's right.
Through this question. One is, what will be the psychological state of mind of the students who are infected, and how will this impact on their performance? That's one. And then 2 is, what do you then make of the collaboration between the exam body, various state ministries of education, and the experts?
Let me begin with the second question.
Okay.
The collaboration has been quite fantastic, according to reports, from the head of the national office to start with. And I've also found time because immediately I was contacted for this interview, I did private research from both private schools around and public schools also around. And I think so far the collaboration is fine, and it's in the interest of the children, the students. Then the first question, the psychological effect, of course it's going to tell. It has told on all of us already. All members of the society have 1 or 2 ways of direct or indirect concern, following the advent of COVID-19. It will tell, but then I think all we need to tell the students is that, look, brace up, do your part, study to pass, study to show yourself approved, if I may borrow that that phrase, okay? So just tell the students to study, and that's why I think I'm #1 fan for the head of National Office for WAEC, Mr. Patrick Aragon, insisting that, look, it's not a death sentence. Yeah. I like that. That's a classical one. It's going to boost the students. I remember way back a few years ago, I'm a young man, so a few years back when I was writing SSE in the early 90s, I remember very well I volunteered to pray because I thought it's not easy to just pass exams just on the merits of your competence. And the invigilator said, God bless you. He prayed for me Islamically and said, now you can come and pray in the Christian way. And I did. And there has been no regrets ever since.
Fantastic.
Yes.
That was good thinking.
Yes.
I wonder if we are perhaps not appreciating the gravity of the situation at hand here. Because while it is a valid point to make that some students, perhaps regardless of there being a pandemic outside, wouldn't have sat those exams for reasons known to themselves, but the fact remains that a lot of students have been out of school for a long time during the lockdown to protect them. And that time spent, obviously, no matter how studious you are, it's very difficult to get the same level of intense learning that at home that you would have had in school. So now, despite the back and forth about whether or not these WAEC exams were going to go ahead, now that we know that they are in fact going to go ahead, I wonder how serious people are taking the fact that these kids haven't been able to prepare the way they should have done. So I wanted to ask you, do you think that these exams should have still gone ahead, or do you think they should have been postponed further, or do you think a situation like perhaps predicted grades being used to give them all some type of leeway or some type of leniency during this time?
Well, I have to be very blunt with you. I am a pro-school resumption fellow. I'm a pro-school resumption Nigerian. Why? Because I'm happy we are discussing exams. Look, prepare children for exams, prepare them for life. On any day, I'll choose to prepare students for the latter. Everything is not about academics. That's one. Two, let's take a little digression. Let's look at life in totality. Nobody believed that football will resume in Europe the way it has resumed. Okay, fine, the fans are not there, but don't forget the Champions League is over, done and dusted with. They are preparing for the Charity Shield today in England. The fear, in quotes, of COVID-19 was such that life was to be snapped out of all of us when it first came. And I'm always of the opinion that let's learn to make the most out of every situation, no matter how bad, no matter how terrible the situation gets. We should make the most of it and not continue to escalate the fear, the tension between and amongst ourselves. Some of us who are thinkers, without sounding arrogant, should be able to, blaze the trail for others, that where you are being afraid, you need not fear. This situation will come and go like the previous ones that have come before, the Spanish flu, Ebola virus, HIV, AIDS, and so on and so forth. There will always be a mechanism for the world population to be stamped down. So people should have no fear. Now for these exams, I tell you, at the end of the whole procedure, you see, those who will pass. That's why everybody cannot have pass mark at the same time, even when there was no COVID.
No.
Honestly, even when there was no COVID.
I don't agree.
That's his own thinking. Let me push this a little. Let me push this. I like your enthusiasm. It's fine. Somebody said fear is not courage is not the absence of fear, but it's the mastery of fear. That's what courage means. But let me push this this thinking that Femi has raised a little bit and backtrack a bit.
All right.
Udomi Mona, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, some days ago, came out and said one of the people taking exams caught the COVID-19. And immediately after that, 20 more caught the COVID-19. Then you drive over to Bayelsa State, the same thing happened. About 20 also caught COVID-19. Then you just branch by Gombe, Gombe State, 7 got infected. So the question is, Tosi, how does this rub off on you? How will it rub off on parents? Are you not exercising a tinge of worry?
I remember, and I am aware that I'm speaking live on national television. And that's why the only thing I can do in the interest of your viewers is to tell them the truth from the true perspective of my own life experience. Yeah. Now, I had taken exams in the past when I had fever, as in fever, serious one, shivering, but I decided, look, I was going to write this exam. And I passed in flying colors. So my take, once again, I want people to not misperceive or misunderstand my opinion. Yeah. In life, there are terrible things that happen. Even when there was no COVID-19, for crying out loud, we've seen candidates, students who experience memory loss in exam situations. At the University of Lagos, where I attended and read law, I remember a colleague, Nika Benson. I have names, I have proofs. She went blank in an exam hall, and because of that, went backwards by 1 year or even 2. Today, Nika Benson is still a successful lawyer. So this is what we need to encourage these young people to understand. Life is full of that.
I'm not trying to interrupt. You will continue, but I remember, oh my God, I remember a particular exam that we took. I think it was corporation finance.
Okay.
Man, the lecturer was, we tagged him wicked because the questions were not even what he thought. Or somebody in the exam, immediately he opened, was he a she or he, opened the exam papers. The person screamed. And the whole hall went quiet. I mean, for the person, I think the person had even failed the class. You know, I think it was. What do you call it? I don't know what you call it. I forgot that term you used.
It's okay.
Carryover, good.
Okay,
good. That's it. Carryover.
Reference.
Yeah. And so for the person, it was like, I'm done. You know, this is it. Continue.
Oh, thank you. So, we shouldn't generate storms in teacups. Life is full of ups and downs. Yeah. And the students, the generation, this present set should be the most prepared for life. I won't be surprised if in the next 10, 15, 20 years down the line, they begin to produce first-class, citizens all over the world because they have been tried. That is the concept of life and living. It's not what you think. Everybody will pass exams at the same time. No. We all have different races, to embark on. So for crying out loud, again, I say the head of national office has done well by saying that, look, it is not a death sentence. Those who have COVID, some of them will still make these results in flying colors, and they will become successful in life. If you fail now, the next time, you will pass again. That is the message we be, and not scaring them. We told them 3 months back, I remember I was talking on radio with Citizen Jones, the popular Citizen Jones on radio. And someone called in and said, will you allow your son or your ward to go to school right now? I said, why not? Hilary must go to school, just like Eze went to school. All right, that's it. So he must go to school. We want schools to resume. Stop intimidating people about this thing. We have to make the most out, no matter how bad.
COVID must not intimidate us.
It wasn't. Let me add something, please. In law, we were taught right there in law that it is better to have bad laws but good judges. It is terrible when you have good laws and terrible judges because the judges will interpret the laws. All right? So it's always better to make the most of everything than not to have anything at all.
Oh, fantastic. That was a very good one. Make the most of
everything.
And not having anything at all. That's true. And you cannot, because of fear, not go forward. In fact, fear is the reason you should go forward.
You commended the collaboration between the ministries of education in different states and also the WAEC Council. And you also spoke highly of Patrick Arego. I wanted to actually ask you a question about that. If we look at Patrick Arego, who is, of course, the head of the West African Examination Council, and of course, if we look at the head of national office in Nigeria, they've said that the council had been collaborating with various states, specifically the ministries of education in those states, to look out for candidates who've been affected with the virus. And apparently, when that does happen, the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health in that state will come together and get a medical expert that will conduct the exam for the candidate. How confident are you, though, that the students who are positive are sitting their exams in isolation?
Adefemi, you just strike me as anyways, typical. Ladies, due respect to you, I am confident that if you have prepared adequately for an exam, you will pass. Now, to allay the fears in Nigerians, let me borrow a leaf from one of my earliest and still my mentors, one of my mentors, Professor Akinwebode. He talked about the concept of dangerously contiguous zone in marking scripts of students. Now, the pass mark, presumptuously, is 40%. And then, according to the learned professor, he said, if a student has, life itself is we should take it easy. He said, if a student, at the end of the marking, scores, say, 37, he needs 3 more marks. Otherwise, he has been declared a failure. So what he does is to consider all other things. You say, okay, let's look at his handwriting. Did he give me so much problem marking his scripts? No. Okay, I give him 1 mark for that, 38.
Oh, boy.
He needs 2 more marks to make it. He said, okay, let me increase everybody's mark by 1 more grade. So he gives him extra 1, he gets 39. And then he needs just 1 mark. And then he says, just 1 mark. Anyway, for showing up to write the exams, he gets 40. and then he's declared successful.
That's creative.
He's not declared successful. He's given a pass mark.
That's it.
Yes, pass mark is successful.
He's successful.
But a 40 is different from a 70. There are still grades in between there.
Look.
So if a student, for example, who falls short of that pass mark, but as you said, it has shown the working out, for example, and the working out is commendable, but perhaps they didn't get the final correct answer, there is still leeway for examiners to give marks. So that is still possible.
It's discretionary. It's discretionary, yes, you can. Even you, if you are going to rebuke, the mother of the countdown child, for instance, could have also could have simmered down on something, but she decided to look, let me take this measure, not knowing where it was going to land the boy. So in life, some people who made third class from the universities have turned around to become CEOs, industrialists.
That's
so there is a way. I wish I had a chance to talk to these young children, our young leaders of tomorrow, who are writing this exam. I just told the line, the same path that has been told by the Mr. Patrick Arriaga. Let them calm them down. Before they come to write the exams. You are writing an exam for an academic purpose, not for life purpose.
It's not the end of life.
It's not the end. He has told them. It's not a death sentence. And I'm telling you, some of those who have contracted the disease right now and are writing the exams will still pass far, far better than those who have nothing to do with COVID and are also writing the exams.
But COVID has nothing to go on.
Sure, that's a perfect way for us to segue to the next question, because if we look at students who are from disadvantaged backgrounds in rural areas who have somewhat been left behind or forgotten throughout this entire process, how can we appeal to them? It's one thing saying that you shouldn't be afraid and, the COVID-19 isn't a death sentence, even though it is deadly. How can we look at those students and say, oh, you'll be fine? Because the whole point of education is that it is supposed to lift you out of poverty. It's one of the most popular avenues for people to make something of themselves. So it's all well and good to say, well, there are people who have graduated with a third-class degree and have still made successes of their lives, but how many of them have? How many people can say that they've come from a disadvantaged background, did poorly at school and still made a success of themselves? We still can't use anomalies as the actual interior graph.
You can't. Really? I don't know whether education
you can use one example, but you can't say because one person made a success of their lives despite a poor background, you can too.
Baby, I understand your fears, honestly. Just calm down.
I graduated. I've set my exams. I've done very well for myself.
Now,
I still want to make sure that children have the chance to do the very same.
In answering that lovely question you posed, let's begin with the fact that if you're asking for those who have come from very decent backgrounds to become top-notch, we had a presidential proof, and we still have one. The one who is there right now, with due respect, there are doubts over the authenticity of his school start records.
No, that has been cleared. Let's not talk politics.
No.
Let's just continue with
I'm not saying. I'm not even saying this to reduce his image in the minds of right-thinking Nigerians. But I'm saying there was at a point we had doubts over it.
Oh, okay.
Now we also have the one who was there the last time, Jonathan Goodluck. He said he never had shoes. So I'm going back to the rural areas where Adefemi, tied our questions to. Let me shock you that you are saying COVID as deathly because you have been inundated with reports of COVID on TV and on radio.
Factual reports, yes.
In the rural areas where your concern now is at the moment, your concern is at the moment, they might not even have enough access to TV in the first place. And you see them toying with COVID in indigenous languages. COVID-19. They are not afraid because they know nothing. So if you talk to such people, go write your exams, fire them up. We all need people to do us a fillip, a catalyst, onto getting to the very top level where we desire to be. You, at a point, must have been helped by someone. As I'm sure, right there where you're seated, you are thinking of helping, giving a lending hand to somebody somewhere. That is how we all create a multiplier effect. You can't talk to somebody, inspiration, and giving advice, and you think it's not going to fructify. It will definitely fructify. Some of the things we are doing today are as a result of the way we were handled. Right from when we were young, I remember Baba Fashino, who used to gather us together, ask questions, and give us all kinds of local snacks. Today, I will trace what I'm doing still to that man who, left for the, shores beyond long ago. So that is how life is. Don't think whatever kind seed you sow in anybody is going to be a waste. No, never. It grows inside them.
Tosi, I wish we could really continue this. I have some good questions to ask, but time is just running. I never said that time is not my friend. Time is always my friend because you have enough time to do what you have to do.
Exactly.
All right. What do you make of the system they devised in handling the scripts of these students? I'm sure you're aware of the way they've talked about handling the scripts of the students.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Oh, well, the only thing I'm not aware of really is if they are going to use machines to mark the scripts. But if it's going to be human beings, what Mr. Ariagon has been talking about might not happen really, because I heard him saying that they are not going to reduce the standards. If it's a human being, at a point, some of them might be considerate. Okay, like the professor I told you about. He's a professor. He knows his onions. He's about the best on international affairs in Africa as we speak.
Yeah,
but this is a man who is talking about the concept of dangerously contiguous zones. So, you see, everything relates. Everything relates. There's nothing that exists in isolation. I just wish these students, or whatever they use, machine or human beings, I wish these students the best in life, not the best of luck in their exams.
We don't have all the time, but I don't think you particularly caught the question. No, apologies to you. It's not about...
It's all
right. They talked about the way they go pick the scripts, the distance they give, and the way they handle it. Not in the marking. That's what I'm talking about. Not in the marking. So, what do you make of that system they devised?
Let's just be positive. I particularly asked those, because I went to schools, like I said earlier on, and found, are you even observing the first line hygienic conditions, checking temperatures for everyone who comes in? They say yes. Washing their hands, they say yes, with sanitizers and what have you. Using nose masks, yes. And so it suffices.
All right,
sure. Let's make
Tosi, we're going to leave it there. One thing I like, though, is that I'm an optimist.
Yeah.
Really. And it looks to me like you're one, too. Thank you so much
seriously
for being on the program. Tosin Akande, their public affairs analyst.
Thank you.